Hey everybody, I wanted to post real quick and mention what I said I was going to post about the other day. I put up a meme that said something to the effect of, you want to see what a person is like when they're angry, when they're stressed out. You want to see them during different holidays. You want to see how they treat wait staff. You want to see how they treat their family. And the reason being is anybody can fake being something they're not for a period of time. But time tells. Time always tells. So when you're saying yes to this person, what is it you're saying yes to? Like, yes, I will invest some time and energy into getting to know who you are. Or, yes, I'm going to be in a relationship with you even though I don't know you. Yes, I'm willing to be intimate with you because you're hot and because you have a good job or a house or whatever that looks like, or because you're nice to me right now. What is it we're saying yes to? So when I first stepped foot into Flatirons Community Church, the talk that they went over was on love and sex and marriage and God's plan for it. So what it comes down to really is when you become one with a person, when you have sex with a person, you become one because that was God's plan. It's, his intention, his original intention was for you to be able to alleviate stress within the marriage confines because the darker, the enemy, Satan, spirits, whatever you want to say, however you want to call it, it does attack. I believe it attacks everybody, but when you become one, he knows what makes us tick. So he kind of rides on those nerves. And when you have children, having kids is stressful. Balancing life and family is stressful. So he created sex so that you could alleviate stress and to procreate and to become reconnected, because this world is crazy and life is crazy, and we allow a lot of other things to interfere with our relationships. So when you become one and then you separate, it's literally like tearing of the flesh. The comparison that he gave was that his son glued his hand to a table with super glue, and you can imagine when he ripped it off, he left some flesh behind on the table. And so in today's society, when we're saying yes to somebody, we will be in the middle of a relationship and we will be intimate with them, and then God knows what will happen, and you separate. And I'm curious as to how many people are able to separate amicably and have it not be detrimental to one or both people. But it's been my personal experience that every time I gave myself away, I lost a part of myself. And over time, you can imagine that leaves a person like an empty shell. And I know society has, from the beginning of time, it's been different for men than it is for women as far as being acceptable. However, I believe the effects are the same for both if you really look at it. If you were to do some writing and write down where you were selfish, self-seeking, dishonest, frightened, whether you intentionally or unintentionally caused jealousy or suspicion or bitterness, you would see a pattern. And in that pattern, you would see where you hurt others selfishly and where others have hurt you selfishly, because we're trying to seek to fulfill a need that only God can. So when we're saying yes to these people, what are we saying yes to? Like, do they love Jesus? Because if not, then who is their leader? Who has taught them how to treat other people? Who is their role model? Do they have their priorities in order? Do they know how to give money? Are they open with their giving? Because if they're not, then when you're with them and you want to do things for other people or for yourself, they hold tight to it. And money and sex are the two things that cause the most dissension in relationships. And the money issue, if they're not willing to give, that will definitely cause some tension, especially if you guys have different viewpoints on what's important. I know somebody who recently got divorced due to this kind of thing. They just couldn't come to common grounds on any of this. And if it weren't for Jesus, I wouldn't know how to give. So the next thing would be, do they know how to save? That's not something I learned until well into adulthood, it's going to be spent, it's going to be gone either way. So off the top, putting 10% in savings and then giving 10% to whatever entity you believe is in need. And then do they address the needs over their wants? Because if not, then you're going to have children with this person and they're going to be going golfing instead of buying things that the kids need. Now, mind you, I'm not perfect at this. I was shown a different way, so I did things that I was shown, and I'm learning now how to do things differently. So, do they know how to deal with money? How do they treat their parents? And do they have respect for them? Because if they don't, they're not going to have respect for you. I don't care what they say. Lip service is just that. I can tell you whatever you want to hear, but the fact of the matter is it's not going to be to your benefit or to my own for me to lie to you to get my needs met, because eventually down the road that falls apart. And it's scientifically proven. They say 6 months, but I believe it's less than that now because things have progressed the way they have. 6 months it takes before the chemicals in the brain stop firing like they do when you first start dating. And it feels like a high almost, like every time you get a text, every time you get a phone call, every time you get together, especially if you're physical. And then after those chemicals die down, you start to see their character defects, but you've already become one, so separating is more painful than it would be if you hadn't. So, does that mean that God doesn't love you? No. Does it mean that it's probably not his plan for you? Yeah, chances are good, because his kids get hurt and he doesn't like his kids getting hurt. And then when you have children and you engage in that kind of activity and things go poorly, the fallout's on the kids. That's just the way it goes. When mom hurts, the kids hurt. So, and same for dad. Same for dads. However, I happen to be a woman, so that's what I can relate to. So I wanted to just put it out there. You know, this is why I was allowed to experience what I have, so that I could teach what he's shown me, because I have not been intimate with anybody in over 2 years. And if you would have known me even 5 years ago, you would have thought that wouldn't have been possible. However, through Christ, all things are possible, and I do it one day at a time. And of course, just like with recovery, the more days you string together and the more you look to him to fill that God-sized hole, the less appealing it is to just accept less than what you want. So I encourage you today, write a list of what it is you want in a partner, because God knows the desires of your heart, but he can't give you what you don't ask for, especially if you don't even know. And you have to know what you're worthy of. Everything that you want, you can have, if you're willing to wait in his will and timing. I believe that very much for myself as well as for you. And on the inside of this, I would really like to put it out there to all of my friends and professionals. I have a girlfriend who reached out to me and asked if I could ask all of my network of people if they know of any work from home positions. I'm actually curious myself. While I build my business or continue to do this ministry, I would like to have the time freedom to be able to do what I need to do to provide for my children, but I would also like to be available to pick them up and take them to their appointments and be accessible, because when I was running amok, my mom was at work. Same with my dad. And this young lady, I don't know what her reasons are for needing to work from home, but I do know what it feels like to go to somebody who calls himself a follower of Jesus and have them not reciprocate that help. Because the Bible does say that when our neighbor comes to us and asks us for help, we're not supposed to say, come back tomorrow. We're supposed to help them now if we're capable. And initially, I have to be honest with you, I was like, well, if I have to do it the hard way, why wouldn't you? It really doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is that these needs have to be met, and why not? Why not? Why not ask the people that I know? So if anybody knows of any work from home positions, please reach out to me and I will connect you with her. Have a blessed day.